Hello and welcome to this online presentation of Awareness, Aware of Awareness. My name is Amanda Tweed and I will keep this presentation as relevant as possible to support this claim. Identity is the key. We hear about identifying with awareness. We hear about identifying with the koshas. We hear the word identifying a lot, especially on this path to awakening. And it literally is that you are aware. If I say, are you aware? There is a pause. Awareness notices awareness and says yes. If I say, do you exist? You would probably look at me strange and say, yes, of course. That is awareness being aware of itself. It's not an object. We can only experience awareness being aware. That's it, full stop. So you are the self, and the three identifications that we have is that we are aware and we identify with beingness. We are aware and we can identify with the body and the mind. We are aware and we can identify with the world. I'm going to break these down just so that I can explain what I mean by identifying with beingness, the body and mind, and the world. So the awareness, being aware of itself, is awareness is the true nature of the being. And as I've mentioned in other pointings, that we are spirit beings. I use the word spirit because that just means that we cannot be seen, we cannot be touched, we are present. And that's the word that I use, spirit. There are other words that are used that maybe are more relatable to others. It can be beingness, it can be presence. Whatever word resonates, that's the word that you would probably say that you are before form. So the self being aware of itself is, I know I exist, full stop. Or another word that can explain it is there is existence. There is awareness that I am aware, or awareness is aware of itself. Words can never, ever describe who and what we are, but we use words. So the self-awareness, being aware of itself, is I, consciousness, am aware that I exist. That is the language of the spirit being. Spirit meaning it cannot be seen, but we know that it's presence. Presence, it is presence. I am presence. I'm tying myself up here with words. We take that awareness that we are, and we can be aware of form, which is the mind and the body. So there is nobody that can tell us about thoughts. We know what thoughts are because we experience thoughts. We experience thinking. We experience the thinker. We experience the voice in the head. We experience thought forms. We also experience emotions. Nobody can pick up an emotion and give it to me and say, here you go, Amanda, this is anger. No, I already know what anger is. I already know what love is. Although love is not an emotion, it's a state of consciousness, it's still perceived. Within the mind, there is also decision making, there's perception, there's memory, there's all sorts of different names that we give to thought forms. There is awareness of them. Awareness is aware of thoughts. Within the realm of the body, there are also emotions and feelings, sense perceptions. Awareness is aware. Awareness is aware. It becomes of when we make something the subject, but in actual fact, it's the subject being aware of the object. We are also aware of the body. See, hear, touch, taste, smell, movement, non-movement, rest, sleep, exercise, eating, drinking, communicating, shaking the head, nodding the head, waving the hands, a sick body, a healthy body. There's an awareness. All of those descriptions is the story of the body. I think that's where the word his story comes from, history. Because awareness is present, it is now, it has no past, it has no future, it just is. It's not in that realm, it's not in the realm of time, but the body is a time body. But awareness is aware of that. And also, awareness, being aware of the world, is we are aware of our environment. We are aware of other bodies. We are aware of action. We are aware of objects that arise into this space that we call the world. So we cannot get away from being aware. But sometimes we can be trapped thinking that we are the body, the mind, the emotions, and what happens in the world is happening personally to me. And it can get sticky, it can get painful, it can get confused. Everything can happen. Absolutely everything can happen. So, what is the way into identification with the three states that I mentioned? What is the way? How did we do it? Why and how did we identify with and become one with the body, the mind, the emotions, relationships with other people and things? How did that happen? Well, the way out is the way in. How it all happened was we imagined this thing called attention. Because if you sit and think about it, when you go to sleep at night, where is the room that you are sleeping in? Where is the bed? If you have somebody sleeping next to you or other people in your home, where are they when the body has gone to sleep? Where is everything? In fact, where is the body? Where is the mind? Where are the thoughts? Where are the emotions? But yet, when we open the eyes of the body and we look around, the environment's there, the feelings come, the thoughts come, other people come. So, what's the thing that switches off when I'm going to say we go to sleep? I'm talking relative. What's the thing that disappears when we go to sleep? But as soon as we open our eyes, what's the thing that reports and tells us? We think it's the mind, we think it's the emotion, we think it's the other people, we think it's the world. It's the attention. The attention is the foundation for everything to happen. The attention is imagined, but it's not a mistake. It's not a silly thing that we done. That is the nature of attention. Because the beingness, awareness, has no attributes at all. It doesn't have any likes, dislikes, no preferences. It doesn't have a home. It just is. It's just life. It's blank, but it's present. It's aware of itself that I, consciousness, am. To play the human game, we come to have a human experience. We got caught up in the human game. We believed it to be us. We became the roles that we came to play, the human roles, the human game. We played it that well that we got lost in it. And we got lost in it because to do that, we had to create something called imagination, and we imagined attention. The Bible says God made man in his image. So imagination was the first thing. And it actually Once self-realization has been experienced by the self actually sees that the attention that we once thought was absolute is actually imagined. This cannot be believed. I'm not speaking from the place of belief. There is nothing here that can be believed, nothing that can be taught. It's just pointing. So the way out is the way in. The way out of the stickiness of believing that we are a limited self is to let go completely of attention. But before the attention is imagination. This is why you hear some teachers pointing to say that it's a dream. It's only a dream, it's not real. But that doesn't help anybody until the person has experienced that, yes, I can actually say it wasn't real. And I've gone in with the absolute, which is to let go or see through or drop the imagined attention. The only thing that stops us from awareness, being aware of itself, is we have imagined this attention that goes out and creates the body, the mind, and the world. That's it. So the way out, which is the way in, is to let go of the imagined attention. Some of us have done it. We have just dropped the imagined attention, and then the self-realization is I exist, full stop. Sometimes we don't even talk. It's just so obvious. It's the most natural state of the being, is to be aware of itself. The mind cannot tell us anything about awareness because the mind is awareness is above the mind. The mind cannot tell us nothing about awareness, and awareness can tell us nothing about the mind. However, they are both there. They are both present. The self is present, the body, mind is present, and the aim is to merge the two together so that they become one. And to do that, it's to let go of the imagined attention. But because there is so much investment over thousands of years of living from that state of consciousness, it's not an easy thing to do. It's very simple. Simply drop the imagination. The attention goes, you're there, home. But because of all of the programs, the limited beliefs, which is what I call programs, because of those, there appears to be some investment in them. And again, this is nothing to do with blaming, fault, mistake. It's perfect. That's the nature of the human game, is for the beingness to become a human, to have these roles, responsibilities, to act as this part, drop the game and come back home. But then we've been doing it that long that it has become like a monster. It's turned on us, like it's beyond control. So what has happened is everything is limited anyway. Any thought, any idea, every word that is spoken is a limitation of the true nature. But it's when we believe the limitations and when we live by the limitations that we get hurt, because awareness is beyond the word vast. And when we take it seriously, that we squeeze ourselves into a body mind and become a person and take everything personal, it hurts. It really hurts. And that is why we say, I want freedom. I need to get freedom. I want freedom from this. And that is what we call the desire. The desire for freedom is the goal. The desire to be free of limiting beliefs, the desire to be free of not experiencing happiness every single second of every single day, even when the body is asleep. That desire, which is in all of us because we are all awareness, being aware of itself. We never stop being that. We cannot stop being that. But what we've done is we've taken that power, that presence power, and we've got lost in the three identifications. We've got lost, well, in the two identifications, sorry, the body, mind, and the world. Within those are different identifications, but those are the two. If you remember at the beginning of this presentation, I said there are three identifications. One is awareness, being aware and identifying with itself. The second one is awareness, being aware and identifying with the body, mind. And the third one is awareness, being aware, identifying with the world. We identify with something, and the we that I'm talking about is the soul, also known as the koshas, because we've already gone ahead and created the body and the mind. It's not just going to go away when you wake up to who you are. And I think that is the fear of many, the fear of waking up because of different stories that we've heard and what the mind is telling us. The mind doesn't know anything about waking up, because the mind is the sleeping state. So the very first step is desire for freedom is the goal. The minute that we have that desire to wake up from this nightmare, that is the very, very first step. And it's inevitable. Everybody is going to have that desire because it's the true nature of beingness, is to be one with itself. So at some point in the human game, everybody has that call. We call it a calling. As soon as we've had that desire, some of us may have it many times and then get distracted, and then life changes and gives us what we think we want from the world, and we say, oh, it's okay now. But some of us say, no, absolutely, I've had enough. Those are the beings that this message is for. Those that have said, I want my freedom. Enough is enough. I want it more than a man needs breath. That's the desire I'm talking about. That desire to be completely free. It's then to make the decision. It's to make the decision, because until we've made a decision, this image here is very true. The first image is of a man covering his face and there's arrows pointing in every direction and it's overwhelming. And the second image is a man with 4 arrows and he's just looking down thinking, which one do I take? I'll tell you how you make a decision. You decide what freedom means to you. Use what you've got. A prime example, I'm going to use myself because it's a lived experience, it's direct. Suffering on drugs, suffering in a world of crime, it's just suffering, not being on purpose. I knew that that was not purpose. And throughout the 13 years, my mantra was, I want the truth. I just want the truth. I want the truth. That is freedom. I want the truth. I didn't want freedom from that lifestyle, as strange as that sounds. I didn't want freedom from that. I wanted freedom, full stop. I didn't actually know what I wanted. One night, I am sat in that helpless, hopeless state, and I don't know where it come from. A vision appeared in front of me, and it got my attention. I saw me, Amanda, living a relatively better life than where I currently was. I saw that I was happy. There was no addiction. Nobody was suffering. I had beautiful people around me. I felt the love coming from others, and I was free to give love. That was a decision. So I sat with that vision, and every night I would have an appointment with this vision, and I would sit and it would get bigger and clearer and more detailed. it was a place of freedom. So I actually received freedom. And the going back and visiting that vision and being one with that vision, not pushing away the drug lifestyle, not pushing away anything, just being one with that vision was absolute freedom. It was freedom from the current reality. What happened to me from there doesn't necessarily have to happen to everybody, but it appeared that my life got worse because of all of the challenges. What actually happened, excuse me, I now know what happened because I've sat down and I've put the pieces together in a few simple steps. Had I had somebody tell me what had happened, I would have been free instantly, because the very first thing that happened to me was that I stretched my consciousness by using imagination. Now, this type of imagination is not from lack. It's not the imagination that you use to get away from a situation, because that's the imagined attention doing it. So it's not real. It may change the dream a little bit, but it's nothing permanent. It's like putting a plaster on a cut. This imagination was totally different. In the middle of addiction, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of my back being against the wall, awareness became aware of itself. And because awareness, being aware of itself, is the top state, the vision came to serve the beingness. I couldn't put this in words back then because I didn't know what was happening. But the vision came. And because I said yes to the vision, I'd made it unconscious. Well, it wasn't unconscious. It was a decision, but I didn't put it into words. It was the flow. It was the effortless beingness. It was pure intuition. And because I am awareness, aware of itself with no limitations, no need to be safe, no need to be secure, no need to protect any identity, it's as if the world opened up and I entered into hell. What that actually was when the awareness, when the consciousness is stretched, when you see beyond the limitations, it stretches the awareness. It kind of like shines a light into all of the darkness that I once was in. And that light cannot go off and it cannot be unseen. So what happened is that the light shone all the limiting beliefs that was stopping this soul from reaching that destiny. And intuitively and spontaneously, programs would come up and they would feel a lot stronger. I didn't have a mentor to show me out, and I'm glad, really, because it proves that everything that happens is spontaneous, it is intuitive, whether the human is aware of it or not. So for many years I went through challenges, but looking back, there was a lot of laughter, there was a lot of surrender, there was no fighting of the program. It was just, it is what it is. It is what it is, which has demonstrated and self-proved to me that awareness is aware of itself no matter what. So that was the very first thing that came to me, was stretching my consciousness using imagination, but there was no doer. There was no person doing it. Like I said, the person's back was against the wall. Awareness became aware of itself and the image dropped. And then the true mind agreed and said yes, because the drug addict cannot say yes to that because he only knows drugs. He doesn't know about having a wonderful life. So for many years, my life was up and down, in prison, out of prison, seen this disaster, witnessed that disaster. Oh my God, back in prison again. But throughout it all, there was laughter, there was days that I cried, just like any other person, but with having a drug addiction. And then in 2011, I walked into a supported accommodation where I was spontaneously met with a life coach mentor. And what that lady did was she showed me the path, but she didn't actually show it to me. It was beingness talking to beingness. So once you get shown the path, you get in your lane and you stay on the path. My path was Christianity. My path was Jesus. And everybody is entitled to and will have a path. It may be the same path as me, it may not, but it's a path. Get in it. Whatever resonates with you, get in that lane. Get in your lane. Forget the other lanes, just get in your lane. And to do that, to accomplish that, I had a mentor. And she gave me exactly what I needed in that moment. Spontaneously, intuitively, I would know what I wanted to know. And it's all coming from within. So what was actually happening is that leadership had taken place. And we are always being led from within. It can look like external forces are leading us. No, they're not. I'm not here to agree with beliefs. I'm here to smash beliefs because that's the only justice that any teaching can do. Any true valuable teaching will challenge your belief system because it's beliefs that keep the beingness trapped in limitation. Leadership is the awareness, being aware of awareness and mastering the koshas. There is no doer, there is no person that can do this. It is the self being aware of itself. And that's what happened to Amanda. That's why in my story I say I went to bed as an addict, and when I woke up, that Amanda had died. There was no recognition of her. I couldn't find her. I couldn't find the drugs. I couldn't find anything. But I wasn't looking because I was brought back to my senses as awareness, being aware of itself. That was the true birth of leadership. I've had a lot of grace, and through the grace, I've come to understand the koshas. And they were spontaneous and intuitively brought, the teachings, the pointings, and life itself. But it's like I come back to and say that awareness doesn't need to be taught anything, but there are different attributes to the souls. Some souls master playing music, some master the movement of dance, some master painting, some master being a parent, co-parenting. It doesn't matter. That is not the destination. That is the role of the soul in this human game. So the understanding koshas has been played out in this beingness, in the soul of this beingness for many years, without there being a doer or a knower, just knowing. And it was brought to my attention when I met with David Bingham last year. I spoke to David on a YouTube podcast, and towards the end of the podcast, he said, "It sounds like some of the koshas has come through for you." I didn't know what David was talking about, and since that conversation, I've read up on koshas, and it was like, oh my God, yeah, this is obvious. Thank God there wasn't a Noah, because sometimes the human thinks that it's in charge and will try to do stuff, but it can't. So that is how I became to understand the koshas. So it's not like I read up on the koshas and then determined it. It just happened, and then it was revealed to me that it's mastery over the mind. So what can be said is that awareness is aware of itself, leading through the body of bliss and wisdom. That is mastery. The body of bliss and wisdom is the place where we are all seated and rested, but we just haven't looked at ourselves. And there is a scripture in the Bible, and I know I've done a presentation with this scripture, and I know I promised to find the scripture and post it. I do apologize. Maybe I will have a look for it at the end of this presentation and put it in the comments link below. But there is a true saying in the Bible that says no one can see God and live, and that's true, because the one is the human. Once the attention turns and sees itself, it trembles because it thinks, I need to survive as a separate self and I will die. It's just a thought and a feeling. If it wasn't so, I wouldn't be sat here saying this. So awareness of itself, awareness aware of itself, leading through the body of bliss and wisdom is the correct path for the soul, the correct path for the koshas. The koshas have got the apparency of two minds. You've got the mind, the top state, which is the body of bliss and the body of wisdom, which is intuitive, spontaneous action, no belief systems, no programs, but nothing really changes. I'm still a mother, I'm still a daughter, I'm still a niece, I'm still a neighbour, I'm still a friend, I still do what I was doing before the process of leadership. I'm still doing the same thing, but I'm not the person doing it. Nothing changes except for happiness, 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 happiness. No psychological mind whatsoever. The only thing that changes is we let go of misery. And in letting go of misery, we automatically realize that I've always been here. I've always existed. I've always been this, but it tastes so blissful. And that's the body of bliss and the body of wisdom. And leadership is for the real mind to discover the self, for the self to bask and give pure love. It's like that is the integration where the pure mind, the correct mind, the mind that bows to awareness, that says, whatever you want, I will do for you. That mind that doesn't have an opinion, it's not personal. That mind turns and dissolves inside awareness, being aware of itself, so that we can continue to have the human experience. I still eat, I still drink, I still exercise, all of those things, but with no baggage. It blesses every area and beyond. And so mastering the mind is known as effortless being. It takes no effort to be thyself, and it takes no effort to master. In fact, there is no mind to master. The mind becomes one with the master, and the master becomes one with the mind, and it just leaves a complete sense of whole, complete, and well-being. There are not two bodies in this body. It's a state of consciousness that can only be experienced. So let me tell you how you don't experience it. You don't experience it through having good behavior. That doesn't mean you go off and do bad things, but good behavior will not wake a person up. Suppressing emotions does not wake the person up. And watching videos on YouTube and doing no investigation or whatever it is that needs to be done to let go of the lower emotions, that will not do it. Again, I just want to say that behavior, good or bad, it cannot be awareness aware of itself. Awareness has no behavior, good or bad. Awareness doesn't know anything about suppressing, releasing, holding on to, playing with emotions. It doesn't know nothing about that. And watching videos, There's nothing wrong with watching videos, but that will not, you may hear something, you may have heard something in this presentation that will stun the mind, and you will experience awareness being aware of itself. But then there is a responsibility. Each kosher, each soul rather, has a responsibility, but it's not a heavy load. I like Jesus's words when he says, "Take up my yoke, for it is light." It is not a burden. You are in your correct mind. You're in your correct position. You came here to play the game of being a human, and you correctly play it. And human just means God, man. So you take responsibility. You walk in self-control, and none of this is regimented. The mind has got an idea and an opinion on the true nature of God, but the mind cannot know God because it's not real. That mind is not real. How to kickstart awareness, being aware of aware, is having a strong urge for freedom. Until that happens, we will not want to wake up. Making the decision to be free is the next step. So the urge comes, and then you say, yes, I'm here for freedom. And then the commitment is taking responsibility. Nobody can do it for you. There is no human being that can do it for you. None. I have loved ones that I love dearly, and I cannot do it for them. If they said to me, please help me to wake up, even though I know everybody's awake, but if they said, please show me, please help me to lead myself, I can point them, but I can't do it for them. So they need to be committed to do it for themselves. It's self-empowering because you are awareness, being aware of yourself. You are all-knowing, all-powerful, almighty. You don't need any help, but sometimes we forget the way. I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm just going to let you know about some free training that I will be popping onto YouTube, and it's around leadership. Leadership can be a bit of a scary word for some people, but all it means for me is that you become aware that you are aware, and it's from there that the decision for freedom, the urge to wake up, is done. It will then bring up all the reasons why you are not experiencing freedom. And I point, show, hold the hand of, support, whatever is needed, the person to let go, release, drop, do away with the limiting beliefs that are holding the beingness hostage, or it appears to be that way. And in doing that, you experience more and more and more of who you are, until the point comes where you say, enough is enough, and you completely drop the program, and you come home and sit and be who and what you are as a body, but it's not personal, and you walk in your authority, which is what you come to do anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. As you can see, I've got some contact information here, my website, www.amandatweed.com, and I've got a couple of email addresses, amanda@amandatweed.com and amanda.amanda@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me via other email addresses, or you can contact me on my YouTube channel by popping a comment in the comments box with your details, if that's how you choose to reach out. But either way, it would be an absolute pleasure to empower other beings, because my journey has been remarkable, and it is a powerful testimony that There is nothing wrong with you. There never has been. There never can be. And I'd like to show you yourself, demonstrate to you that you are already whole, complete, and perfect. And it's just a case of mistaken identity. There isn't a lot to learn. When we talk about the koshers and everything else, from my experience, they sorted themselves out effortlessly without me even being aware. It was only when awareness became aware of itself that I actually saw everything's okay. Everything has been integrating along the way. That is the greatest gift that I have for humanity. So, yeah, please reach out. Feel free to reach out via the contact details that are at the end of this email, and keep your eyes open for some free training. You can also contact me, and I call it a discovery call because I just want to know, what do you want? Why are you contacting me? Not in a hostile way, but what is your reason? Why are you contacting me? How can I empower, support, guide you to your ultimate freedom? Some beings contact me, they want freedom from something, and that's okay. It still means that there's a freedom. And then once they've got that, they realize, actually, no, that's not freedom. I want the big boy. Um, and some beings say, that's it, complete freedom, Amanda, show me how to get it. It doesn't make me a teacher. Teaching happens. Teaching is something that has been happening through this soul for as far back as I can remember. I taught dancing, I teach people how to drop programs. But the I that is doing it is I consciousness. It's not I, Amanda. Amanda is the name of this body. Amanda is the name of the soul. That's just the name, and there's no problem with it. I answer to it. I will say yes to it. Just normal, the real normal. But yes, this is the presentation. Please feel free to contact me. I've got a Ring video doorbell, and I've just had a cat walk down my path. I think that's a sign for me to wrap this up. Say thank you for taking 42 minutes of your life to listen to this presentation. And like I said, if you really feel that you've had enough of playing the spiritual seeking game, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We've all been there at some point, and it's your soul's journey. Just know that the universe is your greatest teacher. People around you, nature, everything is your greatest teacher. Everything is supporting the beings to wake up and become aware that you are aware. Thank you.